Okay, good afternoon, all of you. Myself, Dr. Suraj Suryavanshi, and I'm associated with Vision for last 3 years. And I take, obviously, paper 4, Ethics, Integrity, Aptitude. All of you must be knowing that this is a comparatively newly introduced paper, okay? It was not a part of earlier syllabus, although that does not matter for your class because it's a fresh start for you. Okay, so that is it. We'll start. How many of you have gone through the syllabus of paper 4 at least once? Have gone through the syllabus of paper 4? You don't find it important to go through the syllabus? In civil service preparation, that's the first step, that you should go through the syllabus. And not only you should go through the syllabus, but it should be on your tip. Then only you will able to understand. Okay, so I'll briefly discuss it also. The part of the aspect of this paper, what has been started for your class, otherwise for the GS? Polity and economics, okay. So the nature of this paper, okay, whether it is a polity, economics, history, geography, or rest of the paper, and this paper is quite different in the sense that here you don't have too many facts, information, and etc. Okay. This is basically going to test your aptitude, attitude, behavioral aspect, ethical values. If you become a civil servant, okay, what should be required to be done by a good civil servant? So those values which will be tested here. Now, if you see conventionally, okay, the recruitment process of civil services, earlier there was no this paper 4. So it almost the responsibility of interview board to see those things through the interview, okay. But we know that this recruitment system has partly failed also because one of the thing that is when we say about the bureaucracy, the corruption as in all pervasive in the bureaucratic system, and therefore there has been a lot of reports and commissions have been set up in order to have a foolproof recruitment system. And many of the these commissions reports are submitted, and they have said that we need this interview is not sufficient, okay, to see the personality of the candidate, and we require some paper, okay, at the preliminary stage. Preliminary in the sense that means part, in order to weed out those people who have a corrupt mind and want to enter into the system for the personal interest. So for that reason, okay, this paper is introduced. So firstly, you should know, because this, as I have mentioned, this paper don't have too many facts, figures. Okay, you need to understand the philosophy, what is expected out of a bureaucrat, what is expected out of UPSC's paper. That's why I said that, have you gone through the syllabus? Second thing is you must have gone through by now by previous year's question paper, which you must not have done for sure, because syllabus comes first and then comes the previous year's question paper. So previous question paper will give you a solid idea, that is what is required to be done, okay, what is an approach of UPSC. Because if you see and meet a variety of people, you will get a different feedback, okay. Somebody will say that this is a part of philosophy, somebody would say that this is a part of public administration, and so on and so forth. So that's not the thing. Unless and until you study the syllabus properly, you see the previous year's question paper, then only you will realize that this paper has something else more than just reading the philosophy or just reading the public administration. So for that reason, I'll just briefly discuss that what is the civil services, and you have to incorporate somewhere in all your answers that this is the philosophy that should get reflected. So briefly, I'm discussing the context of civil services, and then I'll discuss some paper. So context of civil service, if you see its origin and what is expected out of us, is when the civil services originated. We are going to see on a timeline, okay, time scale. So if you put this timeline and this watershed year 1947. Civil services has originated when there was a British Raj, or the British rule. Now British rule, these were the colonial masters, okay, colonial master. And when there was a rule of colonial masters. So obviously, they were ruling for their own interest, okay, rather than the interest of people or public at large. That was not an intention of the ruling. Although they have propounded a myth called as white man's burden. Does anybody know this term? What is white man's burden? What is white man's burden? In fact, that's the justification they have given for ruling on people. Huh. Yes. In fact, white man's race is, there is an implicit racial discrimination here. Okay, white race is a superior race. Okay, white is a superior and black or brown is inferior for that matter. And there is a responsibility on the white man, that is Englishman, to uplift the inferior race, or for that matter, brown or black race. So in this context, if you see, this was a moral justification for ruling. Moral justification is your society is backward, you are inferior, and we have the historic and moral responsibility so as to uplift the black race, okay, and to bring it at par with the white race. Now we know that this is just a myth, and this was not the actual reason, okay, for the colonial rule. And colonial rule is about the economic exploitation and rest of the other exploitation. So this was just a myth, okay, this was just a myth, and the actual reason was the exploitation. Now, if you see over a period of time, it started as a East India Company, and over a period of time when it was going, particularly after 1857, the British rule came into power, like simultaneously they felt need, because the administration has grown in structure and complexity also increased. So they needed dedicated officers, and these dedicated officers were in the form of civil services. So they have introduced this civil services. Now essentially you see here, the role of civil service is not to serve the public interest, but to serve the colonial masters. There was an inherent economic interest which was there, okay, and therefore they were expected to work in the interest of masters rather than working in the interest of people. Now over a period of time, 1947 we got independent, and British rule obviously got changed by a political executive, that is Indian political executive. Here it was expected that now there will be a rule in the interest of people. Civil services continue to exist because they are going to help, and they are the backbone of executive class. Sometimes we refer to them as permanent executives. Now the structure and the mindset of civil services continued because this colonial hangover, the structures, the laws, the complexities, the procedures, the orientation, everything still continued. In fact, here when Nehru has made a speech, like a very famous speech, Tryst with Destiny speech, okay, in Tryst with Destiny speech he has talked in next for the times to come, what are the challenges, hurdles, what is the dream of India. Okay, so those things, those have been mentioned at the dawn of independence. But as we speak here in 2016, okay, and compare with the Nehru's Tryst with Destiny speech, so we have not came too far in terms of achieving, okay, and partly there are reasons for it, okay, we'll discuss the reasons, but something when we discuss about the political class and bureaucratic class, the first thing that comes into your mind is a corruption, okay, and this has become an all pervasive phenomena. And apart from the corruption, there are many things within the bureaucracy that we see that there are more problems of the civil services and the structure of administration, okay. In fact, bureaucrats are called babus, okay. It's not a very respectable or honored word, it's a prejudiced word. If you read Times of India and etc., you will see and come across this word. Yes, apart from this corruption, what are the problems that you come across of Indian administration? Yes, red tape. What is red tapeism? What is red tape? Huh? Yes, delay of the procedure. Okay, this is procedural delay. Yes, this is because the complexity. In fact, this red tape, that is red tape, is undue delay in public service delivery, undue delay in public service delivery, public service delivery. This is basically the procedural delay, because as I have said, the colonial structure continued, the complexities and the methods of working of administration continued. So therefore, this is called a red tape. Why it is red? Huh? What is red tape? Seal or the tag on the files. If you see on the corner, okay, there is a red tag. Okay, and it is like a file is moving from one department to another, delaying the public service delivery because of the procedure. Yes, what else is there? Negative points. Okay, yes, political interference, nepotism. What is nepotism? Is favor for the near and dear ones and the family members. Okay, political interference. Yes, rigidity is there. We can put it as a better word, that is bureaucratic apathy. Okay, bureaucratic apathy, or it can be put as a status quoism. You understand status quoist? What is status quoism or status quoist? Status quoist means as it is. Okay, as it is, immune to change. Okay, immune to change and maintaining as it is. Why they wish to maintain as it is structure? Because a lot of power has been given to bureaucrats during the colonial time. So obviously, this calls for like a delegation of power or to work more in the interest of public. So nobody wished to dilute its power for that matter. So any kind of change, we see that there is a complete like immunity to, or you can say that rejection to the change, that is called as status quoism. What is bureaucratic apathy? In fact, status quoism and bureaucratic apathy are interrelated. This is a apathy on part of the bureaucracy, okay, towards the weaker section of society, particularly towards the weaker section. And whenever the downtrodden weaker section come to the bureaucracy, we hear the news of there is a harassment, okay, harassment that the person is being asked to come on the later part of the day, and this is how the delay is being made. So the poor man is a sufferer, and at times there is a too much focus on the procedures, okay, rather than on the democratic aspects. That is called as a bureaucratic apathy. Okay, bureaucratic apathy is an attitude of insensitivity or attitude of indifference. Okay, it is an attitude of insensitivity or indifference, particularly towards the weaker section of the society. In fact, that is why it has not changed. Okay, there is a change of the guard, okay, or the change in the power, in a sense that one group of people got replaced by another group of people, but really what is required from point of view of the public, it has not achieved. Okay, now in this context, yes, any other negative aspect or challenges? Ego complex. Okay, yes, that's maybe the individual one, but yes, certainly. What else? Oh, okay, fine. So how does that lead us into the negative aspect? That is why the corruption, you want to say? Yes, tell me. Is the salary reason for the corruption? Lack of activism, yes. What is the ambition of civil service? What do you want to say? Okay, big house, big car, materialistic, okay, driven by the materialistic interest. Lack of transparency, lack of accountability, inefficiency and effectivity in public service administration. There is no whistleblowing protection. So there are a number of problems here, okay. We'll see study, it's just an introduction, okay. I'm just trying to give you the larger picture that why this ethics paper and what we have to require to see through this paper. So there are many problems, and part of the problems, one is the structural problems, because there is a part like bureaucracy structure continued, colonial hangover continued, and part of the problem is human resource, because human resource, the kind of the socialization that happens, okay, and it get reflected when you become an IAS officer. So if you are a materialistic orientation, so naturally the greed component and what somebody has said, ego component, or you have a typical parochial attitude towards caste, religion, etc. If you are a product of socialization with a parochial attitude, such parochial attitude will get reflected into the administration, and it may harm the administration. See, so far it has not affected in your life because your decision making was not affecting the larger section of people. It is maybe your own personal interest or maybe the family and near and dear ones. That is it. But here, if you take one decision, it is going to affect, or it has a larger ramification on the society. So here you are expected to follow some of the code of conducts and code of ethics for the civil services. Apart from that, this corruption has a component of greed. Along with that greed, okay, the issue of misuse of power is there, issue of nepotism, politicization of bureaucracy where the political and bureaucratic nexus exists, bureaucratic apathy is there is no public service orientation. So sum total of all this is there are problems with the bureaucracy. In order to change the problem, now we have a recruitment system which specifically tests your knowledge, okay, the earlier one, okay, or maybe your paper 1, 2 and 3, this specifically tests your knowledge and see whether you are capable of doing something good for the society. That is about the capacity and the knowledge. But as it is being said that knowledge is not sufficient, knowledge has to be guided by good value system also. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen? Knowledge without ethics is quite a dangerous thing. In fact, this was the essay which was asked in 2015. Okay. Knowledge without ethics or knowledge without values is a dangerous and dreadful. Dangerous and dreadful means you are capable of doing it, but it is quite possible you will use the administrative machinery for your own interest, okay, rather than working in the interest of public. Okay, so the whole system we have to change, and we have to bring what is today we call as a good governance. Okay, in fact, this is all the features of malgovernance, misgovernance, bad governance. Okay, and we have to change this system, and we have to bring the good governance. So in this paper, we are going to discuss what are the features of good governance, what are the reforms that are required in bureaucracy from point of view of a good governance, how the civil service, and there is a possibility of reorientation of civil services in the direction of good governance. So the whole paper is going to check your inclination, okay, your mindset, your personality, your aptitude, your attitude, that how much you are having an inclination for the larger part of service or the larger part of good governance. I hope that this is a key part of this paper, and somewhere your idea should get reflected into your answer, that what you are supposed to do as a part of an administration. Now, having this introduction, we'll see the syllabus. This will also make the paper clear that what is actually written in the paper and what you are going to study in the forthcoming classes. So please write the syllabus now, okay, syllabus of this thing, and we are going to go lines. What is the name of the paper? Okay, thank you so much. At least you know that. Yes, right, paper 4. Ethics, integrity, and aptitude. Ethics, integrity, and aptitude. Now, broadly, although UPSC does not divide this way, okay, the paper can be divided into 3 parts. Broadly, I'm saying. Then I'll come to the specific part. The first 5 chapters are related with what we call the theory part, okay, or the core part of your syllabus. Okay, theory part or the core part. This is first 5 chapters or first 5 headings here. Here we are going to discuss all different concepts in ethics. Okay, every humanity has its theory part, so that's the point. Second part is more applied. This is application of whatever the study we will do here in the part of Indian governance. So this is related with the governance part. Obviously here it is good governance or moral governance. Whatever the aspects that we will study here, what are the moral and ethical concepts and studies we are going to apply. That is about the good governance part. And third is obviously the case studies. Case studies will be on both theory portion as well as on the applied portion. Some of the theories might be very generic in nature, which has nothing to do as such with the administration, and some of the theories obviously will be in concerns from the point of view of the civil services. So this is a broader part, of syllabus. And if you see the question paper, you have 250 marks. Again, the division is 125 and 125. This is so far because we have just 3 papers with us. As I have said, it is newly introduced. So 2013, 14 and 15. So invariably, this pattern has been retained. We do not know whether they are going to change this pattern or not. But as of now, for last 3 papers here, obviously the theory portion, and this is related with the case study. Theory, it includes both, that is the governance part as well as the core part of ethics. So generally there is a perception that case study is different. So believe me, it's not at all different. If you do only start theory part and applied part, then only you can able to do justice to the case study part. There is no meaning of attempting the case study when you do not know the core concept. You might take up a case and you can write the answer, but you will also not understand there are 10 different dimensions of the case. You are expected to write from bureaucratic point of view. You are not expected to write the answer as a layman answer or what is important for you, because your decision may be prejudiced one from point of view of your self-interest, the interest of a particular group of people, etc., etc. You may not be knowing what are the code of conduct and code of ethics. So first, therefore, we need to understand the theory portion, there is certain governance part, and then we have to discuss how the application is in the form of case study. Case study is just another way of asking the same knowledge. The same knowledge that is in theory and applied part is being tested through different ways. So that's a bird's eye view of syllabus and what is the marking scheme. Write the specific points of the syllabus. What are the specific points in the syllabus? Does anybody has any doubt so far? कुछ पढ़ा है नहीं है तो अभी do not whisper, ask. Courage is a virtue. So if you have any doubt, do not whisper, push lo up. So write the syllabus. Now specific what I have been the points mentioned in the UPSC syllabus. Now first is related with ethics and human interface, right? Ethics and human interface. In fact, in short, this chapter is about introduction to ethics. For your convenient understanding, this is the introduction to ethics. So obviously, in introduction to ethics, the first there will be a meaning and conceptual understanding. Concepts of values, ethics, morality. What is an understanding of different terms? That is ethics, morality, values, etc. Then you have the second thing like determinants of ethics. Determinants of ethics. Determinants of ethics is whatever the good and bad that we think, from where this good and bad comes from. So that's about the determinants of ethics. What that determines, why that if you think from a particular point of view, this is wrong thing to do or right thing to do, on what basis and what are the determinants, what are the sources. Next is with regard to dimensions of ethics. Dimensions of ethics. There are various dimensions. We will discuss later, obviously. Dimensions are nothing but different perspectives. These are the normative theories of ethics. Good and bad cannot be seen from one particular dimensions. There are various dimensions. So what are those dimensions that we will discuss here? And Rest of the things is in bracket you can put it. Other parts, there are certain parts which are implicit in the syllabus, may not be mentioned directly and explicitly in the UPSC syllabus. But if you see the previous year's question paper, you can find that there are implicit portion also. So here in the first part, we are going to do like ethics and its relationship. You can just write ethics and its relationship with ethics and its relationship with religion, law, okay, science, etc. Okay. And finally, in fact, here you could have written, okay, relationship between all of three. That's the implicit part. Okay. So this is about introduction. Although it is an introduction, it is going to be a very, very basic and fundamental aspect of ethics, because if you have not understood this particular chapter, then it will be very difficult consequently. In fact, this goes true about whole paper. Here there is no chapter which you can differentiate from the another. There is no watertight compartment in this paper. Everything is interrelated with each other. And what I have just now spoken, that ultimately what they want to say is a good civil servant. So good civil servant will have all the dimension in one go. It's not that one dimensions you can separate from the another. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second heading here is related with the attitude. Attitude, and you can write attitude and persuasion. Okay, various heads are mentioned. I am cutting short. Meaning of attitude, structure of attitude, function of attitude, decision of attitude and behavior. Obviously, we are going to do that. Okay, so attitude and persuasion. That's a broad aspect. Why at all we require to study the attitude? Because this is a part of psychology. Why we should study the psychology? As a bureaucrat, what do you think? What must be the necessity of writing this psychological aspect? Core thinking. Okay, fine. Okay. More smoothly. Okay. Even if they are doing wrong. No, what's wrong? If somebody is also doing wrong, you have to be smooth at the end of the day. Yes. What else? To be more diplomatic. That is very diplomatic answer. What is specific thing? Diplomacy is nothing but sophistication lying. Okay, you hide the lies. That's what diplomacy is all about. Okay. If you are going to become a foreign officer, okay, obviously that requires a lot, because at the end of the day you have to promote the national interest. Yes, what else? But yes, diplomatic hai, kyunki negotiations रहता है. Okay, whenever there are certain unreasonable demands are there, you are not expected to behave in a reactionary manner. So you need to understand there is something called emotional intelligence we are going to see. Yes, what else? Why attitude counts? Yes, very good. In fact, just now I have mentioned few of the points. If you have preferences for particular caste, religion, region, etc., etc., those things will get reflected into your behavior. Think of you are a staunch supporter of a particular religion, and then you become an IPS officer, and the communal riot has broke up somewhere. Okay, and you are handling a communal riot. Throughout your life, there has been attitude that is XYZ religion is responsible for communal riots, and you belong to the other side of the religion. Now, you think that this is an opportunity for me to teach the lessons. I never got the one, or maybe I have become a civil servant so that I get such opportunity. So this is your parochial attitude, which is getting reflected when you become a civil servant. Same, likewise, there can be a caste preference, political ideology preference. There can be different parochial preferences within you, which will come into picture when you become an administrator. And as I have mentioned, because your decision making is now going to affect the larger section of the society, so by you will be causing a more damage to the society. Apart from that, I have mentioned one, bureaucratic apathy. Bureaucratic apathy is also a part of attitude. That is attitude of indifference and insensitivity. So we have to change this bureaucratic mindset. Bureaucratic mindset is typically having and not providing an attention towards the weaker section of the society. So we want to inculcate the values of empathy, compassion, dedication to public service into the civil servant, so that they can be more public service oriented. Okay, so anything, whatever we need to understand what is an existing attitude, whether we can change the attitude or not, if we can change what is required to change the attitude, etc., etc. Therefore we have to first learn the attitude and how it has been shaped in the first case. Okay, so that's the part. Third point you can write. Third is related with aptitude. Aptitude. So what is an aptitude now? How it is different from the attitude? Mental thinking. What is the other form of thinking? Heart also thinks a lot. More accuracy. Decision making power. Is it related with power? Aptitude is related with power. Mental power. Okay, this is related with your capacity to do anything. Okay, aptitude is not just about related with one particular thing. Okay, we have to describe with respect, like something we say that he has a very good aptitude for playing cricket. Okay, that's also aptitude in the context of playing cricket. Somebody has a good aptitude of playing guitar. Somebody has an aptitude for learning new languages. So there is an inherent talent, okay, that what you can do best with a minimal external intervention. So that's your, to cut short, this is the ability, whether you have ability to do something. Now that something can be anything, but here we are interested in ability from point of view of civil servant. So this ability, nothing but is a function of your intellect from the civil servant's point of view, because here you have to understand the problem, society's problem. That sort of aptitude is required. Okay, there are various dimensions of problem. Then after understanding the problem, you require to understand there can be 10 different solutions. Out of 10 different solutions, what is the pros and cons of each solution? Which solution is best in a given situation? So it requires a minimum level of intellect and knowledge. Okay, that is about your aptitude. But as I have said, that knowledge is not enough, because it gives you a capacity, but there is only a probability that you can become a good civil servant. There is no guarantee. What does so probability to guarantee के बीच में कौन है? What is required then? Good values. Yes, in fact that's why this chapter reads it, aptitude and foundational values of civil services. Aptitude and foundational values of civil service. In fact, this is the core chapter of syllabus. Here we are going to see what are those values that are required from point of view of the civil servant. So here we will see that focus of chapter is not on aptitude. Okay, focus of chapter is on this foundational values of civil services, that the values such as transparency, accountability, okay, empathy, compassion, dedication to public service, honesty, integrity. So different values that we have to understand here. Value of tolerance, value of impartiality, value of objectivity. So these values we should remember. And in fact, it's not that specifically we have to study these values only. Okay, you have to see also the application of values in case studies, because invariably whenever you are writing the answers in the case study, okay, your answer should have the ingredient that you are taking the decision X, Y, Z, whatever the decision is there. You are taking the decision because these are the core values of the civil servant. So being a civil servant, I will act in this manner because this value is important for me. Are you understanding the application of this part? It can be a direct question also, what are the foundational values, or they may pick up certain specific value and they will ask you what do you understand by integrity, and how the integrity is different from the honesty, and how integrity is important from point of view of the civil servant. This can be a direct question, or it can be in the form of case study. Okay, so that's about aptitude. Next is aptitude and foundational value. Fourth is emotional intelligence. Fourth is emotional intelligence. Have you heard of this term? Yes. So who is saying yes? He should answer. What is the meaning of emotional intelligence? Destruction. Whose destruction? आपका या लोगों का? हाँ. कैसे उसका कैसे? Make us understand, enlighten us. Okay, apart from that? Okay. तुम भी देख के आए हो क्या? Yes, that's the right answer, but that's the partial answer. Okay. One is, yes, you should not get swayed away, even if you have a very affiliation for someone. Okay, family also here. Okay, it's all family, near and dear ones, friends, etc. come in the bracket of egoism. Okay, public service, you are not expected to work in the interest of self-interest, for that matter, or self-interest here is obviously the extended self-interest. So one is, you should not get swayed away by the emotions, and there is a management of emotions. So does it mean that a good decision is about keeping the emotions out and taking the decision? Should we conclude? No. Then what is it? Huh? Some emotions. So where is the line then? Yes? Wow. Is it? How will you find the integration of different emotion? Let's say the love and hate. What is the integration of both? General interest of larger section of the society. Okay. Yes, so it's a difficult ball game. See, the thing is, on one hand side, you should not get carried away by the emotion, but at the other extreme, you should not be completely objective. Okay, completely objective in a sense that, in fact, objectivity is certainly an important feature, because here in foundational values we will discuss one of the important feature of bureaucrat is having a impartiality and objectivity in the decision. But too much of objectivity is leading him to earn the tag of this apathy. Okay, that bureaucrats are insensitive towards the problems of the weaker section of the society, or there is a status quoism. So there has to be a balance. At the same time, you require to show empathy and compassion, and obviously this requires emotions, that when you see the weaker section of the society, then you should feel for them, you should try and understand what they are going through, and likewise you can be flexible and you can adopt such things in your policy making or implementation of your policies. In short, it is an intelligent management of emotions. That's it. Okay, so obviously there is a lot many theories there. This is the management of emotions. Management of emotions involves not only carried away on one side, also it's not a stone-hearted, patthar dil wala bhi nahi hona chahiye. Okay, there is an implication at individual level also. Implication at individual level is, if you are taking a decision in an anger, okay, and then later on you are feeling repentance about it, that's also shows lack of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence not only with respect to the others, but with respect to oneself, in order to manage the emotions at an individual level and then take the decision. Okay, so that's about emotional intelligence. The fifth point, this is a moral thinkers. Moral thinkers. Moral thinkers. Now, moral thinkers, you have two aspects here: Western moral philosophers, Western moral thinkers, and Indian moral thinkers. Western moral thinkers and Indian moral thinkers. So, now this is a sort of a phobia for aspirants because syllabus has not mentioned any moral thinkers. So what is to be read, what is not to be read, etc., etc., and to what extent, okay, we should remember the different names of the scholars, their quotations, their viewpoints, etc. Now, in fact, one of the aspect here you see that because the moral thinkers are name is not mentioned, it means that there is not much focus. Not much focus in a sense that this is not your optional paper. So in optional paper, you will invariably have the name of thinkers, which are the core thinkers of a particular subject. But in this case, there is nothing like these. You have to pick up 3, 4, 5 thinkers. The whole idea here is there are certain virtues or there are certain good ethical values that requires to be followed by civil servant. So the ultimate objective of this is to let the aspirants know that there are certain values which are important to be upholded by civil servants, which needs to be imbibed by the civil servants. And these values somewhere in the past have been spoken by some scholar. That's why we have to study the scholars. Otherwise, focus is not about, like, question will be very unlikely, what is ABC has said on this and that, etc. So this kind of a quizzing based question will not going to be asked. It is more about what the thinker has said, what is that value, how that value is important in contemporary time from bureaucratic point of view. Okay, let's say for example, if the Plato has said that courage is a virtue, so you need not have to dug into this, that what the Socrates was or the Plato was, what was the situation of Athens, why he has said the courage is important, etc., etc. That is irrelevant. Okay, for us what is important is courage is an important virtue, and how the courage is important in the contemporary time. Say for example, if you are a bureaucrat, there's something called whistleblowing. Okay, you understand whistleblowing? Ethical whistleblowing, obviously. So whistleblowing is to raise the voice against the wrongdoings, okay, to expose the corruption. So naturally what is required is a courage. So courage as a virtue. So this is how you have to study this particular chapter. Okay, there is no specific thinker, although we are going to discuss right from Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, etc. Then there are certain Indian thinkers, so Western as well as Indian moral philosophies. In Indian moral philosophies, we are also going to study the religion also, because Indian moral philosophy is heavily based upon the different religious precepts. So some part of religion also we are going to say. Again, that's not going to be any philosophical class for that matter, or from point of view of theology, but it is more about what are those values in different religion which help guiding as a part of virtuous citizens, or which are those values which are helpful from bureaucratic point of view. Okay, so that's the idea. So do not worry about this particular chapters, like pick up the laws book of Socrates and start reading, okay, because I want to become a Socrates now. Okay, that's not the thing here. Okay, so that's about the first part, that is the theory part. Is first 5 chapters are related with your theory. Sixth one is 6th and 7th I'm combining together because both are part of the governance, that is applied part. 6th is a part of governance, so you can just write probity in governance. 6th and 7th related with probity in governance. Probity in governance. Probity in governance means, yes, integrity, ethics in governance in the simplest sense. It means ethics in governance. Okay. Now, certain chapters that we are going to discuss here, okay, are first is in fact the good governance, the broader theme. As I mentioned, the whole paper is about to bring the good governance and what are the values required to bring the good governance. How should bureaucrat behave in order to bring the principles of good governance? And you have the parts of good governance, separate parts such as transparency, and What is the transparency mechanism in India? That is RTI. Okay, so we are going to see some provisions of RTI, Right to Information Act. Right to Information Act 2005. Okay, then what is the twin sister of transparency? That is accountability. Accountability here, accountability mechanism are many, but for our purpose like CVC, Lokpal. Okay, so some of the mechanisms here we are going to discuss. Here in accountability, you can also write, well, focus will be also on social accountability or social audit, issue of social audit. Next is citizen charter. Have you heard of this citizen charter? Have you seen citizen charter? Okay, anyways, we'll not discuss here as of now. Okay, citizen charter, just put it. Then you have e-governance. E-governance, then whistleblowing and ethics of whistleblowing. We'll see what are the whistleblowing, what is Whistleblowing Protection Act, whether Whistleblowing Protection Act is strong in India or not, etc. Okay. Good governance, transparency, accountability, citizen charter, e-governance, whistleblowing. Okay, these are the parts of, direct parts of the governance. Apart from that, the others karke likh lo, there will be a small, rest of the portions will also be covered. There's a code of conduct, code of ethics, etc. These are the some of the other things which will be covered. Apart from that, okay, separately you can write as a corporate governance. Corporate governance. In fact, here we are going to discuss good corporate governance. Okay, what is a good corporate governance? And CSR. What is CSR? Yes, corporate social responsibility. Okay, so corporate governance and corporate social responsibility. And final chapters you can write ethics in international relation. Ethics in international relation and international funding. International funding. Ethics in international relation and international funding. Okay, so this is again international relations related, but still since the ethical portion is involved, so we are going to discuss on that also. And the final point is case studies on above topics. Case studies on above subjects or topics. This line is for all the topics, including theory part as well as the this application part, that is probity in governance. Okay, so this second part is more of what the civil servant is doing in administration, and it is about the applied part, and the case study is a combination of the two, that is theory part as well as the applied part. Okay, so this is again an overview of what we are going to do in the forthcoming classes and sessions. Okay, you should have this in your mind, okay, always, that whatever we are discussing, where your information fits into. Apart from that, obviously, I expect you to go through the previous year's question paper. Okay, that is important because that will again keep us on track and also help us in evaluating that whatever the preparation that we are doing, that should be as per the requirement of UPSC. Okay, because this paper, there is a much chance that you deviate from your track, because this is a very subjective paper, and it's quite possible that you keep on doing a lot of hard work, but still it is not getting counted from UPSC's point of view. So therefore, to keep oneself on a track, to be a very focused, okay, we need to frequently see through the previous year's question papers also. Okay, is it fine? If you have any questions so far, please ask. Otherwise, we can move to the first topic. Any doubt? Any question? Books, okay. हाँ लिखिए, फिर resources लिखो. Resources or the books. First of all, attending the class is the must, I would say. Yes, because for a simple reason, in fact, I have started session with saying that there is no lot of information, okay? And whatever the information is given, okay, that is given in the book, but it is very difficult to contemplate that information from bureaucratic angle. So you can refer to the books, okay, I am not discouraging it, but most important thing is what you learn in the class, because there can be a 10 different interpretation of what you read in the book, okay, and you have to interpret from point of view of civil services, okay. So obviously there will be many more gaps in the books. The one book first is there is a lexicon book by Chronicle Publication. It's a small book like a dictionary, lexicon, LEXI, lexicon book by Chronicle Publication. Okay, lexicon book on ethics. It's a short handbook sort of a thing, which has sufficient information which is required from UPSC's point of view. Okay, that would suffice if at all you want to read. You want to read further, then there is a book by Arihant Publication. सबका नाम एक ही है, Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude book, because this is a newly introduced. Ethics is not a mainstream subject, so you don't have graduation level book, you don't have school level book, etc. Okay, ethics is not a mainstream subject. In management, they teach management ethics, but please do not go through them at all. Okay, I will rather strongly discourage, because in that management, profit orientation is a motive, and you can think of, if you read those books and to become a civil servant, then in fact you end up in doing what is unjustifiable. Okay, so यहाँ पे profit orientation मतलब corruption है. Okay, so you have to be a public orientation. Okay, so there are different ethical values for the corporate as well as for the public services. So here, second book, book by Arihant. Third book I would suggest is a reference book, book by Subba Rao. Okay, the scholar, the author's name is Subba Rao. Books on ethics. Okay, these are the three books. You can use them as a reference from the book side. Yes, apart from this, Vision IAS will be also be providing you the this. Have you got the this printed material from the institute? You haven't? Not for ethics. Okay, it will be provided to you. Okay, it will be provided. So that's the printed material. Printed material of Vision IAS जो class में दिया जाएगा. That's the next resource. Next one is ARC recommendation. ARC की एक report है, report number 4. ARC second, Administrative Reform Committee second, comes with one report. Report number 4. The name of the report is Ethics in Governance. Okay. Again, it's not mandatory reading. Okay. It's just a reference reading, because whatever is given there, we are going to incorporate those things in the class. Otherwise, it's a very, very bulky document. Okay, it's basically from point of view of public administration. Okay, what are the changes? But here, more focus is on the values rather than the technicalities. But still, this ARC recommendations and this particular report will come handy, particularly for the second part of the syllabus, that is the probity in governance and this transparency, accountability, this whole probity in governance parts. You can use them. Okay, please somewhere write the class notes are going to be the most important source. Okay, so write somewhere top. Okay, that's the most important thing. Okay, whatever I am discussing, the examples, giving you dictation, not giving you dictation, but otherwise uttering something, some example. So all these things is going to be important, because if you see the nature of questions will not be a direct in this paper. Okay, what, where, this kind of questions will not be asked in this paper. What do you understand by this and that? Okay, maybe a small half part of the question will carry such thing, but ultimately it's a reflection of understanding of concepts from civil servants' point of view. Okay, case studies we are going to do in the class. Yes, how to go about the preparation. What you have to do is, first assignment is go through the previous year's question paper, get a feel of it. You may not understand everything, but slowly over a period of time, as the session will proceed, at the same time you will also get to know certain concepts, so you will build the things. Once you have all the questions in your mind and the nature of questions and case studies that are asked in the previous years, you will have this macro view. Okay, apart from the syllabus I have mentioned already, and the previous year's question paper, this will give you the more focused attention. So that's a mandatory thing. Whenever I'll be discussing the different chapters, relevant previous year's question paper, I will be taking simultaneously also. Okay. Apart from that, good to read जैसे रहता है. In biography you can read in order to get yourself close to some human values. Okay, it must be, some people must be from humanity, so they must be in touch with different vocabularies like equality, justice, okay, egalitarian society, democracy, etc., etc. But those are not from the humanity background or from the technical background, so they should get themselves acquainted with some of the biographies and good read books like social issues, etc. Gandhi's My Experiment with Truth, at least a minimum bare need. Okay, that read is in fact sufficient, or in fact that is a wonderful read. This will also help you in understanding modern India. And apart from that, you will see that this paper, in every chapter, some or the other way, Gandhi has to tell something. Okay, so at least you can do that, but there is nothing like you have to read the Gandhi's biography. Whichever the person who must have inspired you, okay, you can pick up, you can find, you can read, so that you can get your ideas together. While reading, you also brainstorm your life examples, that what has been your life, because in 2014, okay, 60% of the question invariably had one tail end. What is, give example from your life, that how you have lived with this particular value or this particular idea. In the examination, or believe me, you are not able to brainstorm and remember any example. So it's going to be like a very shouty examples, and it's not create any sort of impression. So this exercise has to be done from the start itself. Yes, is that fine? Okay, so that's about the how to go for the preparation. Now write the first, that is ethics, integrity, that is ethics and human interface. Is there any other question? Yes? Shall we proceed? Right then, first chapter, that is ethics and human interface. Ethics and human interface. Ethics and human interface, in that first write the meaning of values, ethics and morality. Meaning of values, ethics and morality. What is one thing common to each one of them? Okay, value is common to each one of them. What is this meaning I am saying? Okay, when we say about values, ethics, morality, what are these things? What ought to be? Very good. What ought to be, or what should be? Okay. What else? Yes, that's absolutely correct. There is something called what it is and what ought to be. Okay, what it is what is existing. What ought to be is what is should be. What is it? That is a good thing to do. Okay, in fact, the thing which is common to all is good and bad. Okay, this is the basis of good and bad. Ethics is all about good and bad. So values, ethics, morals, when we speak, okay, they help in evaluating good and bad. Okay, when we talk about the facts, in the contrary, generally we say about the facts. Facts is help in evaluating right and wrong, true and false. Okay, but values, ethics and morals help in evaluating right and wrong, or good or bad. Okay, so never use this term true and false. True and false is not a function of ethics, morality, values. Okay, true and false is a function of facts. This is a domain of science. Okay, here the evaluation is based upon, okay, morals, what ought to be there. Science talks about what it is. Okay, science talks about this is it. Okay, so if you do the repeated things, objectively the same thing comes in science. But in case of morals, there are different dimensions. Okay, and right and wrong will carry a different dimensions and what ought to be done. Now, first, right, what are values? In spite of the fact that three things are interrelated, okay, there are subtle differences also. So first we'll start with values. Yes, what are values? Again, this is going to be a very democratic class. It will not be a monologue. ऐसे नहीं है कि geography की river जा रही है, गंगा इतने इतने branches है, यहाँ से उगम है, यहाँ पे okay, they are meeting points. It will be very democratic class because the paper is very democratic. It's based upon the opinion. Okay, so I need answers also. What are values? When you see about every time you need not have to give me the definition. Okay, you can give example, you can convey the message in whichever form you can convey, because this will help in also correcting the things what we understand and what is an actual understanding of different terms. Because the part of this paper is you need to know exact meaning of terms, because most of the terms are interrelated with each other. Again, previous year's question paper, you will get direct questions also to define the terms. So in those contexts, you require to accurately know the meaning and define them. Yes, what is values? When you say about values, what is it? Philosophy behind our behavior. Okay, yes, very good. Parameters to judge right and wrong. That's also fine. That is one value. Public service as a value. The meaning of public service as a value would be that we should work in the interest of public. That is an example of value. But he has said that it guides our behavior. Okay, that is something, yes, utility of value. Because whatever our behavior, it based upon what sort of value we uphold. Okay, or value helps you in judging right and wrong. What else? Good attitude, huh? Perception also. That is a value, okay. Value help in moral principle, yes. Yes, moral, ethics and values, all the three are related. Yes, any other definition? See, something which we uphold as important thing in life, okay. Important, this word is important again because we have to differentiate in between ethics, morals and values. So something which is important, tomorrow I start, like, say for example, vegetarianism and non-vegetarianism. Okay, if I am a vegetarian or non-vegetarian, so that is a value for me. That this is something which is important for me to uphold, that I should not eat non-veg if I am veg. Okay, and non-vegetarianism, it does not matter. That's also a value. Now tomorrow, what is in domain of ethics and morality? Tomorrow I started using the word eating vegetarianism is good thing to do and non-vegetarian is a bad. Can you see the difference in between earlier statement and this? First, it was just an important thing for me. Now it becomes right and wrong. It's become an evaluation point of view. Although it's become a value only, but now I have started using the value from right and wrong point of view. So when it comes to the right and wrong, it becomes ethics and morals, both. Okay, we'll see the difference again in between ethics and morals. So value becomes a foundation. So whatever thing in your life, like so for example, environment is a value for you. That it means that you attach importance to environment. Now tomorrow, if somebody will cut the trees and bring their flyover or special economic zone is created, you evaluate special economic zone from point of view of environment as a value and say that this is wrong policy. Now calling this wrong policy because you are ethically and morally evaluated. For you, if materialism would have been the value rather than environment as a value, you would have said that SEZ is, yes, good policy, because the value has changed. So in itself, value is just that an individual or a group of individual attach importance to something. But when he start using that importance thing for judgment, then it becomes a domain of ethics and morality. Okay. So write something about values. Values are the things to which values are the things to which individual or group of individual values are the things to which individual or group of individual attaches importance. Individual or group of individual attach importance. इंडिविजुअल और ग्रुप ऑफ इंडिविजुअल क्यों लिखा है? क्योंकि देयर कैन बी सर्टेन ग्रुप वैल्यूज, जैसे रिलीजियस वैल्यूज रहेगी, रिलीजियस वैल्यू विल बी ग्रुप वैल्यू, but irrespective of religion also there can be a individual values also. So it's not necessarily again religion, it can be religion, it can be caste based values, it can be region based values also. Okay, so yes, there can be political group. Okay, so different sorts of group will have a different sorts of values. Now write some of the examples of values are some examples of values: love, care, humanity, respect, etc. Love, care, humanity, empathy, compassion, these are the examples of values. Now write the nature of values. Headline is within it, nature of values. Nature of values. Now nature of values, what we are going to discuss here, okay, is whether the values are subjective or objective, whether the values are, so at the end of the discussion you should able to answer few of the things. Nature of values mein, whether values are universal or group specific. Whether values are constant or they keep on changing. Whether values are objective or they are subjective. Okay, so some of the questions that we are going to, you should able to address, that is, what is the nature of values? Are they fixed or are they changing? Okay, constant or fixed, are they changing? Group specific or यहाँ पे cultural specific. Group specific or cultural specific. Okay, so write one question here on this question लिखो. Some people feel that, quote unquote करके लिखो, quote, some people think that values are universal and eternal in nature. Some people think that values are universal and eternal. Constant is eternal. Values are universal and eternal in nature, whereas few other think values keep on changing and evolving. Values keep on changing and evolving with respect to time, place and context. Values keep on changing with respect to time, place and context. Context oblique circumstances. Okay, time, place and circumstances or context. Unquote. Evaluate the statement and give your opinion. Evaluate the statement and give your opinion with due justification. Evaluate the statement and give your opinion with due justification. I hope all of you have understood the question. Okay. Some people think values are universal and eternal, whereas few other things, values are changing as per the time, place, and context. Now, please write an answer. I'll give you 4 or 5 minutes. Okay. So whatever you have in your mind, okay, what will be the nature? Like attempt, and then we'll discuss. Take 5 minutes. Everybody should write. Yes, let's discuss now. Yes, who would like to answer? Okay, huh? Be loud. Makes them? Hmm. 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 Okay. By and large, the second part of your answer was fine. Okay. The initial part, we'll see. Okay. What are the improvements that are required? Yes. Anybody else would like to answer? Okay. Be loud. Ah. Ah. Hmm. 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 Good. Hmm. 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 Yes. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So see, the thing is, what do you see the difference between the two answers? Examples. What else? Which one seems to be more close to the question? Second one. Yes. So your answer is little abstract, but in the end you have made the course correction. Okay. See, nothing can be wrong in this paper. Okay. Whatever you are writing, some other way linked, but you have to keep very close to your questions. That's the thing. Yes. Any? Let me give the chance to him who has raised a hand first. Yes. Hmm. 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 Okay. Fine. Hmm. Is there anything more? Okay. Fine. Yes. Now, anybody who is answering, do not repeat what has been already said. Okay. Any new points if you have written apart from What about those Godsewadis? They are not holding those values. Godse and those people who uphold the value. Godse, Nathuram Godse. So you said it's a universal, that's why I interjected. Okay, yes, very good. Those are the best examples. Yes. Hmm. 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 Okay. Okay, but second part you haven't given sort of a treatment it required. Okay, the way you have given equal treatment on the first part, complemented the description by examples. Okay, so you have to write an abstract things also, but at the same time you have to also write examples also. Okay. Yes, any new point if you want to add, then only say about new points. Okay. That value is different. Good. No, it does not change. It just like manifest. Okay, the one who will be holding the values accordingly manifest it. Okay. 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 Yes, anything new? Otherwise we can discuss now. Yes. Okay. 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 Fine. Okay. Now let's discuss the thing. See, the first thing is this question is not evaluatory. Okay, you just have to see whether you are falling on this and that, and you have to give a description of it. Like, say, for example, there were actually the two things here in this particular question. First question was evaluate the statement. So, irrespective of whatever you hold, you have to evaluate the statement. It means that some people hold this, some people hold that. You have to evaluate. You have to simplify it. Okay, tell that yes, for some people this may be the thing, whereas from the other people this may be the thing. Then second question says that what is your opinion, whether you fall on the side of first group of people or second group of people. So keep it as simple as possible. Okay, be a straightforward in writing the answers. Like, let's come to the now straightforward to the question that some people think that values are universal and eternal, and some think that values are changing with time, place, and person. So start, yes, it's true that some people, or for that matter, some values are universal and eternal. So in fact, I have given you few of the examples of values. Those values are universal and eternal in nature. In fact, you can say that the values of humanism, the values of love, care, empathy, compassion, or respect for the elders, child care, okay, these are the values, even if you go across the borders, okay. So these are the values, so-called universal and eternal in nature, okay. After the civilization has evolved over a period of time, okay, all the societies has come to conclusion that there are certain human values. Such values are generally called as the core values or the human values. Got the point? Okay, so some people feel values are changing. So for those people, those are the universal and eternal in nature, and give some certain examples of the same. Then come to the second part of the question, that is values keep on changing, okay, with respect to place, time, and context. Then again, you have to be a very accurate and close to the question, that how according to place it changes, how according to time it changes, and how according to context or circumstances it changes. So give certain example based upon this. So from place to place, can you give the examples? So for example, Western society is focused more on individual as a value, individual, whereas okay, the Oriental societies or the East societies focus more on the group values or the collective values, okay. So individualism is more important in the West, because from their point of view that is more important. Corresponding to that, therefore their freedom is more important. Here the societal norms are more important, because they attach importance to individual as a important thing. Likewise, any other place to place, say for example, wearing a burqa, okay, is a value for maybe Islamic societies, okay, here rather than the Oriental Islamic countries. That's a value for them. But in case of a Western societies, maybe they think that it's not a value. In fact, if you go into the France, there is a ban on wearing a burqa. So in this case, for them, it's a cultural specific value. So it's changes from place to place. Are you understanding how it changes from place to place? You can give, it's not necessary across the borders we are talking, it can change within India also. Like say for example, Khaf Panchayat in case of Haryana, Rajasthan and few pockets, okay, there. So their value and the value of the rest of the country, where the marrying in the same gotra is a wrong thing to do for them, their point of view. So that again changes from place to place. So you have to find out certain examples when you say that yes, for some values change, and these are the examples. Then you come to this second part, that how the values change with time. Okay, on a time scale, can you give certain examples? Yes, Sati Pratha, okay, yes, you can. Untouchability also, yes, although untouchability is prevalent, but at least we have come to this point, okay, we say that this is a wrong thing to practice, okay, initially it was justified. Yes, child marriages, etc. So there can be numerous examples, particularly if you remember this social reformers and the issues that have been taken during the time of social reforms. So women's related values, patriarchy as a value, although the patriarchy is still prevalent in the society, but some of the obvious value which we see there is a perceptible change, okay, widow remarriages or sati or child marriages, untouchability, okay, over a period of time, okay, we are adopting more modern constitutional values. So how it has evolved on a time scale, you can discuss. In fact, this LGBT, okay, the perception with respect to LGBT, we used to call them abnormal people. Now we talk about human rights of LGBTs, mainstreaming of LGBT group. Okay, so these are the on a time scale, on a context specific. On a context, when we see context, the value is same. Okay, there is no change in place, there is no change in time. At a given point of time, okay, you hold some value. So in the same time period and in the same place, if the circumstances change, then you change the value. Okay, say for example, I'm giving you the most obvious example. killing. Okay, let's say that killing is wrong. This is our value, that we see that murder is wrong or killing is wrong. But there are certain circumstances where killing can be a value. Or yes, APSPA में तो value नहीं है वो. Okay, that is a human right violation. APSPA is not made to kill people, to protect the people. Capital punishment, okay. Capital punishment, it is being justified that a particular person who is involved in the heinous crime, let's kill him, and we justify that killing as a capital punishment. Yes. Self-defense, yes. Cases of self-defense. What else? Euthanasia. Okay, what is euthanasia? Mercy killing. Okay. So can killing be mercy? Isn't it a paradox? Okay, a killing can be mercy. Yes, it can be, because the person is going through the excruciating pain. Okay, and in that case, obviously euthanasia may be justified. So capital punishment, euthanasia, self-defense. Okay, these cases, something which is obvious as that of the killing, we generally, the moment the circumstances change, we justify them. Okay, so this is how you have to write the answer. That first, yes, some people think that this, some people think that the other way around. Therefore, nature of values is complex. Okay, at a given point of time and for a given generation, most of the values are constant. Okay, at a given generation. But as the time changes, how many values really evolve? Okay, how much over a period of time? One or two values, because whatever the values that have been got, okay, most of the values remain constant, or you can say that there is a mix of two nature. Okay, it depends upon the society's importance, how they attach to something. So depending upon that, the values keep on changing. So as a matter of fact, you also can say that according to me, okay, rather than few people think this way or few people think this way, I think both the ways, and rather I classify some values as a universal and eternal values, and rest of the values, some of the values which keeps on changing with time, place and context. Okay, so that shows your acceptability and flexibility also towards a particular answer. So here the answer is not in a black and white, and it can be both. So this is how you have to write the answer. In fact, there are two different kind of people. Okay, those who think that values are constant, they are known as absolutist. And those who think that values keep on changing and group specific, they are called relativist. But we don't have to fall under either of the two things. Okay, but yes, these two terms are there. In fact, the word is also absolutism and relativism. Okay, in relativism, those people will question nothing is constant. Ethics is not about constant. It's all about context specific, culture specific. What is right for one may be the wrong for other. And this is universal in nature. There is no single thing which you can take as a yes, constant or static or universal. Everything is relative in nature. These group of people are called relativist, or the philosophy is a relativism. Some people are absolutist. They will say that killing is killing. Okay, that is murder is a murder is a murder is a murder. You cannot justify murder because murder is wrong. So whether it is a capital punishment, it is wrong. Whether it is euthanasia, it is wrong. Because everywhere you are ultimately taking the life, and therefore it is wrong. So these are the absolutists. So they are never going to like change. It's only the matter of the fact that somebody is following or not following, that's a different thing. But for them, value is constant. So have you understood this point? Okay, that are the two group of people. These are the extremists. Okay, extremists in both the contexts, where they don't show flexibility and they hold that either the values are completely changing and context specific and they are relative, whereas few people think that they are universal and eternal. Whether some follow or not, that's a different thing, but values are constant. Okay, you don't have to fall into this either of the category. One should be flexible and accommodative enough to see the answer from the both the sides. Okay, this was the question which was asked in 2013. Okay, that is what is the statement was given. So this statement was on the subject of nature of values. Okay, now write the next, that is types of values. Yes, certainly. We are going to see over a period of time. Yes, certainly. Say, for example, when you make a law, law is not made in an abstract sense. Okay. When there is a consensus, after a consensus, people think that this is good thing to do. Then people think that if people do not follow this, what is good thing to do, then we need to punish them. So it becomes a rule and law. समझ में आया? There is a essential correlation between. We have a topic, that's what I mentioned, that relationship between ethics and religion, ethics and law, वो करने वाले हैं. Okay, yes, your values get reflected into your law. The laws are not made in an abstract manner. Okay, what is good for the society, that is deliberated, and majority people agree upon that, and the laws are made. Like say for example, untouchability के against Civil Protection Act है. Okay, so Civil Protection Act or untouchability abolition as they used to call in the past. This is because this is a new evolved philosophy that all new evolved nahi hai, matlab this is a core philosophy, but human Indians started accepting based upon the modern constitutional values are all human beings are equal and there should not be discrimination on the basis of caste. So this became a law. Okay, it was not a law in the post-Vedic time. In the post-Vedic time, they thought that hierarchy and the Varna system is good. The Varna system, that particular point of time, was a professional classification. Over a period of time, that professional classification became caste-based rigid classification. So this is how it changed. From first you started thinking caste is just professional classification, still it was acceptable. Fair society started caste-based classification, there is an inferiority and superiority. Then there was a problem. And now in again modern times, the constitution say that caste-based discrimination should not be there. Okay, so this is how the law also reacts to the change in time of the society. It based upon what is the test of society. But it's not necessary, it is always that law is reflecting the society's general viewpoint, or it is quite possible law is reflecting the majority's viewpoint, which may not be absolutely true. Okay, say for example, during the time of Britishers, we have a law that you cannot make the salt. Okay, and this was the law. Now what is written in the law is not essentially right. Okay, based upon the conscience, Gandhi has said that even if this is a law, this is an unjust law. So let me refute this law with tooth and nail, and he has gone for the civil disobedience. Okay, in contemporary time you see section 377. Okay, section 377 is about LGBT rights. Okay, so it punishes the homosexuality. Now there are good debates where we see that homosexuality between two consenting adults, if they are homosexuals, they are punished under the IPC section 377. So if you feel that on the human rights ground, on the grounds of Article 21, that is right to life, or on the grounds of 1415, which talks about there should not be any discrimination on the basis of sex, so you can say that even this law is a bad law. Okay, that is how you have to evaluate the law on the basis of values. In democracy, most of the time, values and laws are complementary to each other, but it is most of the times not necessary. And in fact, that's the basis for challenging the law on the basis of conscience, challenging the law on the basis of moral values. Okay? But mostly we will see that dictatorial countries are the one where the laws are formed without taking into account the value of the society, and it is more about the interest of ruling class. But as we move from dictatorial regime to the more democratic regime, okay, we feel, or there is a progression that the opinion of the public and the society is taken into account. But it's very difficult in India because India is a heterogeneous society. Now think of a beef ban. Okay, a beef ban, if you see about how the values, yes, for some group of people values is getting reflected, because for someone like animal killing and etc. or anything is wrong. So for their point of view, it's a good law. From some other point of view, you are putting a restriction on the dietary preferences of someone. So that becomes their value. For non-vegetarian, for them it is a value. From their point of view, it is a wrong law. So values are basically help you in having your preferences and importance thing in life, and these preferences help in evaluation of things, okay, different things. It can be a law, it can be variety of the things. Okay, so write something more that are types of values. Likho. What are the different types of values? Do you have a break for the class? You take break or you don't take break? No. Okay, so write then types of values. Okay, types of values लिखने के बाद break ले लेना. Types of values, there are two types broadly, depending upon the importance that we attach. There are two types of values. Two types of values depending upon the degree of importance. Depending upon the degree of importance or the nature of importance. Degree of importance or nature of importance that we attach. That we attach. Okay, so two classification, there are two words, that is a instrumental value and intrinsic value. Instrumental value and intrinsic value. Okay. Now, first write instrumental value. Instrumental value and intrinsic. First understand, then I'll make you write. Instrumental value is also called utilitarian value. It is also called utilitarian value. So, as the name suggests, that you are looking for certain utility. Say, for example, there is a value 1 and value 2. Okay. Now, first let me give an example so that you can easily understand. Environment as a value. If this is a thing, environment as a value. So we generally discuss when we say about environment, okay, we should preserve or conserve the things. Preservation. Conservation of environment or preservation of environment. Now let's take a mango tree as an example, and we have to save the mango tree because environment is an important value for. Now here if I am saying environment as a value, but environment as a value or preservation of mango tree, but still I am preserving it not from point of view of a preservation, but I know that it is going to give me the fruits or mangoes. So here my value is a secondary. Okay, I am using environment as a value as a means, and I am looking for certain utilitarian end. Okay, so instrumental value is one when you are using a value as a means and you are looking for some other end. Okay, now see, the same value can be intrinsic also. Like I am preserving the mango tree only from point of view of sake of preservation or conservation and nothing else. It does not matter whether it is giving me fruits or not. It may be a cactus plant also. Cactus, you understand? Okay, so full of thorns and etc. So I am not thinking about whether it is giving me fruits or not. So it is only from point of view of preservation. Like take an example of education as a value. Now here when you say education is an instrumental value, it means that education is a value, but you are seeing some utilitarian benefit also. Likewise, ki, job opportunity, employment, whether it will, yes, economic point of view, okay, yes, package kitna milega, ye kitna milega. In fact, it starts from this. First you see the utilitarian value and then you think of which education is good. Okay, foreign jana hai to cat, mat, zat, fat, okay, dena padega. So everything from utilitarian point of view you are thinking. Here education from the sake of education and the wisdom and nothing else. You are not looking out from utilitarian point of view, but from the point of view of for which it is there. Let's take an example of health also. These days there is a fad for going into the gym and yoga and etc. Utilitarian point of view क्या रहेगा? Yes, 6 pack, 8 packs, 10 packs, पता नहीं, abs, wabs, cosmetic, okay, and maybe modeling कर रहा है तो और ज़्यादा utilitarian है. Okay, so here health is not for the sake, but you are also looking out for certain long-term utilitarian point of view. Here, if you are in 50s and 60s, early morning you will go for the walk only for the sake of walk, okay, so as to keep you healthy, not from any utilitarian point of view. So this is where how much the nature of importance you attach. Nature of importance, if you are looking out from certain materialistic cost, from utilitarian cost, then you are attaching its importance as a instrumental value. So write something about it, instrumental value. Yes, see the thing is that then again you are taking as an instrumental only. Okay, intrinsic matlab कोई भी हो सकता है utilitarian value, that is a secondary value. You can keep on, yes, you are absolutely right. There is no end. Okay, every single intrinsic value may be, again, if you are looking out for some other value, like keeping and meditation, keeping and fit also, that is in value. Okay, so broadly this is how you have to interpret. Okay. Yes, you have to write. In case of ethics, you see that there cannot be, it is not a science, okay. So obviously there will not be a absolute technical division you will see here. Okay? You are absolutely correct. In fact, when we'll discuss the definition of values, ethics, morality specifically, it does not mean that specific definition there is not the overlapping also. There is overlapping, yet we have to see the subtle differences between the different terms, and those subtle differences which we should mind while writing the answers. Okay, accurate terms. Should not wala nahi hai. This is a description. Okay, descriptive. Okay, we will discuss when it comes to the morality and ethics. That is, should be and should not be, ought to be, ought not to be. Okay, firstly we are just trying to see that this is how different ways of looking at it, if values has to be there. Yes? No, why you are thinking it is rationalistic? Because you have thought that utilitarianism is only rationalism. For someone it may not be. No. This also can be rational. What's wrong with that? Having a value from point of view of education, that is rational for someone. Because somebody is materialistic, you think that, in fact, there is a philosophy of Bentham, utilitarianism. Okay, so for Bentham, good and bad is always judged on the basis of materialism. Okay, hedonism. जैसे चारवाक की philosophy है. Okay, so they say that what is the use of something? Okay, materialistic use of something. So then only it is important. So this Bentham philosophy, this is more of a capitalist, materialistic way of looking at the things. Okay, there are certain moral basis of looking at thing, value-based basis of looking at thing. So here you are everything you are judging from point of view of a cost, benefit. It necessarily not be benefit. In fact, there is a philosophy in Hindu philosophy, Bhagavad Gita. There is a Nishkam Karma. Yes, what is a Nishkam Karma philosophy? In fact, that contradicts this instrumental value. Yes, do the things without having anything in return. Okay, karma karo, phal ki apeksha mat karo. So that's about, do not attach yourselves, okay, so that something will give you in return. That's why you should not do. Do it in a selfless manner, okay, without having any end. यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? Western philosophies are more about utilitarian and materialistic in nature. You will always try to see how does it benefit. Okay, so there are different ways of looking at it. There's only one way. The other person is equally rational who is doing a selfless duty for the society. The Western will, or this person would say that why I will look out what is an benefit for me. That's the thing. Okay, so right, that is a utilitarian, this instrumental value. When we consider any value as a means, when we consider any value as a means so as to achieve some other or higher end, so as to achieve other higher end, then such value is end, then such value is instrumental value. Okay, you consider value as a means so as to achieve some other higher value. For example, when we interpret environment, or when we think of preserving the environment, in bracket means, when we think of preserving the environment from point of view of benefits that environment offer to us, Okay, underline this benefits and write in bracket end. End is not end is a final objective here. Okay, from point of view, क्या लिखा है? From point of view of benefits that environment offered to us, then such value is instrumental value, or then environmental value becomes instrumental value. Okay, right? Intrinsic value, or वो भी लिख लो, instrumental value is also called as utilitarian value. Instrumental value is called as utilitarian value because we are seeing utility of it, final utility. Final utility is an end point. It is called utilitarian value because we are seeing some other utility. Next, intrinsic value. When we consider value as end in itself, comma into inverted comma में लिखो, end in itself, then such value is intrinsic. Example, when we preserve the environment, only for sake of preservation, when we preserve the environment only for sake of preservation point of view or conservation point of view, and nothing else, then the value becomes, or then the environment value becomes intrinsic. That is, preservation becomes intrinsic to us, preservation of environment. But in earlier case, preservation was not the end in itself. It was just a means to an end. And what was the end? End was having the fruits. And having the fruits is utility. Okay, you are seeing from the utilitarian point of view. So this is the degree of values. In fact, instrumental and this sort of values are consumeristic and materialistic in nature. Okay, we'll take a break of 5 minutes and then we'll continue with the importance of values, etc. Okay. Yes, let's discuss now what is the types of values we have discussed. Okay. Now, write the next, that is ethics and morality. Okay. Ethics and morality. Meaning of ethics and morality. Now, first, right, both ethics and morality are the principles of right and wrong. Principles of right and wrong. They help in evaluating human actions. They help in evaluating human actions or decisions. They help in evaluating human actions and decisions between right and wrong. Between right and wrong. Okay, so one thing which is common to both of them is that both are principles or domain of right and wrong, or for that matter you can use the word good or bad. Okay, but not true and false. Okay, that's not the domain. So right and wrong and good and bad, both are similar, and on the basis of both of them we can analyze. There is a slight difference, okay, subtle difference between the two, and this difference you should mind only when you are specifically asked what is the difference or what do you understand by ethics and morality separately. Otherwise, they are interchangeable words. Okay, many of the scholars do not believe in differentiating between the two terms. It simply means they are the principles of right and wrong. So, unless asked otherwise, both are interchangeable. But there is a subtle difference. The subtle difference between the morality. Yes, anybody has any idea? No. How? What is theory and what is practical? Don't we use the ethics in practice? And in morality there is agreement? No. What else? Yes, anybody has any idea? Ethics is moral principle. What's that? Huh? See, ethics are more societal in nature. Okay, whereas morality is more personal or individual in orientation. Personal or individual. So write in the next line, that is, ethics is more societal in nature. Societal in nature, whereas morality is personal or individual. Personal and individual in nature. Now, this is common and some minute difference. Now, write separate definition of ethics. If there is a definition separate is asked. Ethics. Right. Ethics are standards of right and wrong as determined by society, organization, profession, religion, etc. So these are the standards of right and wrong, which are societal, means this is external to individual. Now this external to individual in the form of, it can be a religious ethical principles, in general society's ethical principles, or organization or profession. So there is an external authority which is deciding what is right thing to do. Okay, when we say about the ethics, it is an external, you as an individual, as a part of society. So you have to bear in mind, okay, what are the ethical norms, or what are those norms which are the norms for the society. So accordingly, you behave as a part of a society. And if you are not behaving as a part of the directions given by the ethics, then it is called as a deviant behavior. Okay, you are not as per the standards of a particular society. Again, it cannot be universal here. Now it depends upon which society you live in, what is your religion, what is your profession, what is your organization. So depending upon organization and etc. But one thing for sure, this is external norm to you, and you have to fit yourself into a particular system. Now generally we follow ethical principles. Either we believe in them, or maybe we have, yes, what is the other reason? Yes, that is what we believe, that we are guided by them. And another reason, we also have a fear of boycott. Say for example, if religious is saying something, and we, even when we are not in agreement, still we follow because we think we are a part of society. Therefore we tend to follow because we think of, if I do not follow, then society will, yes, boycott me, or some other way they are trying to punish me. So therefore you want to fit yourself into the system. In case of morality, कोई स्टेटमेंट ऐसे नहीं है, सबके लिए नहीं रहेगा हैबिचुएटेड. ओके, सम पीपल हु आर हैविंग अ very high on the personal values, okay, so they are not habituated. Say for example, you go in a different country, okay, you are not habituated there, but the moment you land there, you got to know that this society's norms are this. Now still you are trying to, now you are not in agreement with them also, still you will follow because you think that this is right thing to follow in a given situation. Okay, so it may be possible that you are in agreement also, but it is possible you are not in agreement also, but still you follow because you know that this is the majority people, after a thinking and whatever the thing that has happened, they have decided that these are the norms for them, and you try to fit yourself into it. Now, yes, we are being compelled. Many a times we are being compelled. Okay, say for example, you think of any other thing. Okay, you hold a value to be true at your individual level. 90% of the people think that that is wrong thing to do, but you see the consequence of it. What is the benefit of upholding my individual value, and if I don't uphold the society's value, what happens to me? So eventually, in many of the cases, you are compelled to follow the values. Okay, but not necessary in all the cases that we are going to see. That it depends upon the person's conviction with respect to what values you are holding. Say for example, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he refused to follow the value of Sati Pratha. Then he has believed that what he thinks from the rational point of view, that it is wrong thing to do. So obviously he has raised the voice. Okay. Now in case of morality, okay, it is more of a individual and personal in nature. Individual and personal in nature, that you believe something to be true. Therefore you follow, it is a right path. So something, both are a domain of right and wrong, but one agency is external to you and another one is internal to you, because you essentially believe in. Now they are not contradictory to each other. 99.99% they are similar, because morals do not follow from the sky. We are a part of society. So ultimately what you believe in is from your childhood to till date. That is the process of socialization. What society has held, that is what you have learned from the society. Say for example, theft is wrong thing to do. So that is how it has been for you also, because you eventually you have taken the values from your society. And in fact, what individual think, and therefore if there is a consensus, it becomes a societal value. Now think of, in a village 100 people are staying and 99 people believe in something at individual level. Slowly those becomes the ethical norms. Think of LGBT as an example. In earlier past, think of even when at individual level you are thinking LGBT is good, but since majority of people were considering it is wrong, therefore you are also thinking there is some abnormality with respect to them, etc., etc. There are certain pathological problems. Now over a period of time, from one individual to 10, 10 to 50, 50 to 60, if slowly maximum number of people started thinking, that becomes no new ethical norm. Okay, that LGBTs are not abnormal. This is also a part of nature. Okay, nature has created the difference. Now, the difference does not mean abnormal, or difference does not mean, or they are minor in number, does not make them abnormal. So this may be the new idea when the ethical principle. So both are essentially linked to each other, but in certain cases, yes, there are going to be some conflict and contradiction. These are the cases of ethical dilemmas. Okay, so we will see those cases of ethical dilemmas as well. Yes, collective conscience versus individuality. Okay, collective conscience is your ethics, individual conscience is your morality. But then collective is also a product of morality only. When group of people, that's what I was saying. In case of LGBT, if now collectively we started thinking that 377 is wrong, then over a period of time, collective conscience is 377 is wrong. Have you understood? Or what you are at individual level is nothing but product of the society. That's why I said, unless stated otherwise, do not go into these subtle differences. Okay, collectively you have to take both the things are related with right and wrong. As simple as that. Only when it is asked that what do you understand by ethics and morals and how they are differentiate and similar to each other, then you are expected to take. Otherwise, for all the practical purpose, ethics and morals are domains of right and wrong. That is what we have learned already. Subjective is about how value. It depends upon your value. If you are obviously considering non-vegetarian as a value, okay, and then tomorrow you will say that the one vegetarian is a wrong, so obviously it is a reflection of value. Are you understanding? It is a product of your value, but we are saying for a society, in a given society, society comes, laws, how the laws are made. When there is a agreement, there is an overall agreement. Theft is a wrong thing to do. Now it does not mean that there may be a bank robbers who are thinking that bank robbery is a good because it is a shortcut. I don't have to work hard. Okay, once in a while I will do bank robbery and have my survival. That's a value for him. But when we say about ethical values, what is the majority's values and what the society has codified for them. Okay? In such situation, now individual will weigh the option. If I uphold my theft as a good value, what will be the consequence? Consequence will be boycott. Consequence will be he will be put into the prison, etc. So ultimately, he slowly realizes this is a societal value. But not necessarily in all conditions. Sometimes you are a rational being and majority also can be wrong, such as untouchability, sati pratha, etc. So you held the conviction that my value is absolutely true, and therefore you, over a period of time, okay, you try to convince the masses, okay, my value is true. So morals becomes codified into ethics. Okay, so write something, what you have written? Yes, ethics are the standards of right and wrong, which are societal in nature or as determined by society, religion, organization, profession, etc. On the other hand, morality is principle of right and wrong. Morality is about principles of right and wrong. Principles of right and wrong based on individual conscience. Based upon individual conscience. Okay. So this is the difference you should remember if at all you are asked. Okay. One is individual conscience, another one is external to individual. Now, write the relationship between the ethics, values and morality. Relationship between ethics, values and morality. Relationship between ethics, values and morals. Now if you see this values font, you have to take a graphical representation here to understand it. So write this values as a foundational stones. Okay, what is the definition of value? Something to which we attach importance. Okay, values is a foundational stone, that is something to which we attach our importance. Now from this value, okay, society might pick up certain value and it becomes a domain of ethics, or some value may be picked up at individual level, that becomes a domain of morality. Okay, so this is societal and this is individual. This is societal and morality is individual. Both are domain of right and wrong. Okay, because here it is about importance, here it is about right and wrong. Because here we are more evaluational, here we are just attaching the importance. Now naturally, here if you see this societal in orientation, now societal, it may not be necessary always for the complete society. It can be what particular religion, say for example, religion is picking up few of the values. So then it becomes a ethical value for that specific religion. कुछ एक values ले रहे हो. Different profession will pick up certain values, then it becomes a part of professional ethics. Organization is picking some value, it becomes a part of organizational ethics. Likewise, are you understanding this? There can be a societal universal also. See, we have discussed some of the values which are universal in nature, but some societies will pick up few of the values. Religion will pick up few values. Organization, profession. So एक profession है, एक organization है, for them only a specific set of values they have picked up and they are saying that these are the ethical principles. So that's why different adjectives are being added. Organizational ethics. So if you join certain organization, then on that particular organization there are certain group of values. Now here you see ethics becomes moral through the process of socialization. Okay, in fact there is a link between the two also, that is through the socialization. That's why I was saying there is a essential, there is no contradiction in maximum number of times, because you are a part of society and what you hold is out of the process of socialization. Morality becomes codified as codification of norms in the form of ethics. Okay, group of people, individual is thinking, and over a period of time, maximum number of people. This is a codification. Morality get codified into ethics, and ethics through the socialization enter into human beings. Okay, so this is a essential link. What we have to see here, values are the foundational stone for the ethics and morality. If the values are picked up by the group, then it is a ethics. If values are picked up by the individual, then it is a part of morality. So in other words, all ethics and values are all ethics and morality are nothing but values, but all values may not be necessarily morals and ethics, because particular group of people may not have picked up some of the values. Okay, there are so many different values, but for, say for example, this is a private organization. For that private organization, profit is a value. So public service is not value for them. So that's why we classify organization broadly into two different types. That is private organization and public organization. The single most criteria for differentiation is one work for the profit orientation, which is a value for them, another for the welfare or the public service orientation. So values become different. Which set of values is you are picking? So religion also, there may be certain complementary and similar also, and there can be a differences also. Have you understood? Again, ethics and morals are, you should not forget, it's a domain of right and wrong. So that is how you have to understand. Values form the base for ethics and morality, but values in itself, value help in right and wrong if it becomes a part of ethics and moral. But value in itself is just attaching the importance to something. So these are the basis, and from this, these are the two domains of right and wrong. This is a domain of what is worthy in life, what is important in life, that is value. What is right and wrong is based upon ethics and morals. If I say that values help in determining right and wrong, is that statement correct? Yes, because eventually ethics ऐसे कोई दूसरा नहीं है. Same value you are just using for the sake of right and wrong. Value remain the same. Say for example, value of any value, you can say that vegetarianism as a value. So value is vegetarianism only. Here you are saying it is important for me. Here you are saying it is right to do for me. So they form the basis for each. So you have to understand, if at individual level I am using value and saying right and wrong, it's moral. Group level, using the values and saying right and wrong, it becomes ethics. Okay. Now write the next heading, the point of view, that conflict between ethics and morals. Situation of conflict. Situation of conflict between ethics and morals. Situation of conflict between ethics and morals. Now here we have assumed in the definition that ethics and morals are different. That's why we are discussing that subtle difference, whatever I have mentioned. Now can you think of certain examples? Yes. Yes. Triple talaq. Okay, let's say from some modern Islamic women who refute the idea of yes, nikah, halal or triple talaq. Okay. Okay, yes, that's one thing. That the individual moral of modern Islamic women versus the cultural or religious practices. That's one example. Yes. What else? टेम्पल एंट्री. ओके, ठीक है. हाँ, रिलीजन विमेन की जितनी भी है, ओके, चाहे वो हिंदू विमेन हो, टेम्पल एंट्री हो, या फिर निकाह हलाला हो, या whatever the thing is. Okay, dress codes, women and dress codes. Okay, there's these days a lot of like what should be the length of the skirts and what should be the height of sandal, etc., etc. Those things have been dictated by the traditional and conservative element. Now, if they come in conflict with the modern liberal values of choice, okay, freedom of choice, so obviously that's also a conflict in between traditional and conservatism versus individual choice. Yes, that's also one value. What else? Freedom of speech and expression, okay. Okay, see yes, these are the some of the values. Apart from that, let's take an example, now more professional example also, apart from this. Professional examples, let me give. If you are a police officer, okay. Now as a police officer, or you can say that defense lawyer, okay. There is a Kasab case, and Kasab is a sort of a terrorist attack has happened. And now at individual level, okay, your morals say that never in my life I am going to help any person who is a anti-social, anti-national, terrorist sort of thing. Now you, by profession, you are a lawyer, and in this case you are a defense lawyer. Now I hope you understand defense lawyer and prosecutor lawyer, okay. So defense lawyer is expected to defend the case of whoever the person is, even if he is guilty of crime, but he has to ethically fight for his defense. Now in this case, what is his individual morality initially? That I should not help any anti-social person. But what is his profession guiding? Profession is saying that you have to support his case. Now this is a conflict, and in such cases the professional values or professional ethics will have an upper hand over the individual morality. Okay, just take an same example. If in that case it would have been a doctor, and doctor has this particular value that I will not support any anti-social, anti-national or terrorist element, and something has happened, some chaos has happened, and some unruly elements and criminal elements have come for the treatment. Okay, the police has caught them and has taken it to the emergency. Now, as a doctor, what will be your reaction? Will you like put a knife in his कि यहीं पे कहाँ कोर्ट वगैरह कचहरी इसको थोड़ा सा या वेंटिलेटर का बटन बंद कर दिया 5 मिनट के लिए? No, because his here, in spite of the fact that whatever you hold at your individual level, okay, professional values will be the having an upper hand, because for the simple understanding, when we have certain profession, there are certain minimum things that the society expect out of a particular profession. So in such situation, you have to act in a professional manner. If a police is having a communal mindset, I have explained before this break one example. If you are an IPS officer and if you have a cultural and religious prejudices, okay, and in a given situation, you are supposed to act in an impartial manner. So you have to bring in such cases, even when there is a conflict with the morality, the professional ethics, which is codified, will have a upper hand. Now the point is, so long as you are a part of that profession or organization, you are supposed to uphold those values. In certain other situation, it is quite possible, if there is no sort of responsibility on you, professional, organizational, etc., it's quite possible you consider your individual moral as strong as compared to the majority. Like one example I have given you, the Gandhi's example during the time of Salt Satyagraha. In Salt Satyagraha, he thought his moral conscience that the law is unjust. This conviction or this value is far more superior and right as compared to the collective value which is reflected in the law. So therefore he stood strong on his value. Rajaram Mohan Rai stood strong in his value. So there can be a triumph of morality also. But in democracy, as we live today, okay, most of the times the laws are made with the consensus of society, and then it gets the shape of law. But still, so there is a less scope. But in dictatorial societies, morality has a lot of scope. Rational people have a lot of scope. Like say, for example, Martin Luther King. Okay, in case of America, there was a time when legally there used to be a difference between the blacks and white. Legally, I am saying, it's not like there were certain laws that you have, black will go into this kind of school, this kind of parks, these are the community roads for them, etc., etc. Okay, and white will have this. There are a series of laws were there. This series of laws were nicknamed as Jim Crow legislation. Okay, so Jim Crow करके एक term थे. These were the white and the racial discrimination laws. Now Martin Luther King has raised the voice against this, and he thought that this is a wrong thing to practice, because his moral conscience dictates that race cannot be the ground for the discrimination of human beings, and therefore here the morality over a period of time triumphed over the general understanding of the ethical norms of that particular time. Or for that matter, again, one event of this Henry David Thoreau करके एक था. Thoreau, if you, in fact, he has inspired the Gandhi. So Henry David Thoreau, he was American, okay, and he said that I will not pay tax to the American government because my money is being used against the war, okay, and I essentially believe war is wrong because it creates a violence, and I refute the idea of violence because I uphold non-violence as a value. Therefore, I will not pay the tax. Now, paying the tax is a normal ethical value that one should pay the tax. But he, as individual level, believed that my taxation is being used for the violence which I don't justify. Therefore, my morality I will held in a high spirit. Have you understood? So there can be a conflict depending upon the situation, profession. There can be a negotiation between ethical and moral values. But mostly in democracies, you have to like live in what is the society's opinion. Okay, so right, ethics and conflict between ethics and morality. These are the situations. These are the situations when. These are the situation when societal ethical norms. Societal ethical norms. In bracket, cultural, religious, professional. In bracket, cultural, religious, professional, bracket close. When the societal ethical norms comes in conflict with individual moral preferences. Comes in conflict with individual moral preferences. Individual moral preferences. Okay. Examples like example of a defense lawyer. Example of a defense lawyer wherein he at individual level think it is wrong to extend help or support any antisocial element. It is wrong thing to support any antisocial element at individual level. But as a defense lawyer, professional ethics dictate him to defend the case of any person who has alleged to be committed a crime. Alleged matlab there is an allegation. क्रिमिनल भी लिख सकते हो, ऐसे कुछ नहीं है, बट लॉयर के लैंग्वेज में जब तक वेरिडिक्ट नहीं पास होता तब तक आप क्रिमिनल नहीं बोल सकते. ओके, so you have to wait for the final verdict. That's why we generally call there is an allegation of him. When allegation, there is a conviction, it is being convicted, then it becomes a criminal. In fact, this is where this fake encounter case and these terms was quite debated. Many of the news reporters were said they are terrorists who have ran from the prison. There is no doubt maybe the court have settled as them terrorists, but still technically you cannot call, because all were the cases which were under trial or trials were going on. So unless the trial is completed, you cannot tag someone. So that's why I said allegation, alleged as a crime, but you can use them. So the whole matter here is you have to just understand that at individual level and professional level, whenever there is a clash, okay, you have to settle with the professional. You have every reason not to be a part of that profession. Okay, you don't become you resign and then do whatever it is. But as long as you are holding the minimum values of the profession has to be followed. Also, professional values which have been codified. Something, whatever the profession, if wrong practices, say for example, you're a doctor, say same example I have given, you can rewrite it also, but think of if there are certain medical malpractices that are happening. It does not mean that you should not speak against the medical malpractice. Okay, so that is a different, no profession will objectively have a code of conduct that everything and anything that is in the profession is justified. That's not in code of conduct. Code of conduct in medical ethics or medical code of conduct would say that in a given situation you should have a care towards the patient. Okay, so this kind of medical ethics will be there. It will not be that you take up the kidney and sell into the market, okay, instrumental value, utilitarian value, ऐसे कहीं पे लिखा नहीं होगा, ठीक है. So if such things will happen, you also can raise the voice against professional ethics, provided that if they are coming against the rational and conscious human being. Have you understood? So the answer is not yes and no. In certain situation, morality may triumph over the larger societal values. In fact, second case, maybe you can give the case of this triple talaq or temple entry, where you have to show some conservative and traditional values when comes in conflict with the modern individual values. So obviously in such cases, maybe the individual value will triumph. Have you understood? So depending upon the situation and context, and depending upon the constitutional, legal, and rational understanding, right and wrong will be ultimately decided. But again, as I have mentioned, this is when the question is specifically asked. Okay, otherwise morals and ethics are the parts of right and wrong. So just I am saying, okay, not bracket में लिख लो, एक आध example आपको वैसे भी लिखना चाहिए. Whenever you are writing, you should balance. Okay, the individual with respect to triple talaq, nikah, or temple entry, or any conservative value, LGBTs versus the societal abnormal behavior, that their perspective, patriarchal values. Okay, so these values are conservative, traditional values which come in conflict with the modern liberal values. Okay, so that's the point. Now write the last, that is importance of values, ethics, morals, everything same. Why we should write the importance of ethics, morals, values. Importance of ethics, morals, values. In fact, here question लिखो. Why it is important? Why it is important that we should follow ethical and moral values in life. Ethical and moral values in life. Okay, so somebody would say that why at all we should bother about ethics, morals, values. So for that reason we are writing. Okay, in fact these points you can use anywhere throughout your paper, because everywhere they will say that why it is important, why this is important. So these generic points also will come handy. Is why there is a thrust and importance of ethics, morals, values. Yes, maintenance of harmony. Yes. Becoming a good citizen. Balancing in the life. Yes. Yes, all good things that we do, okay, we want, okay, this will be achieved only when you follow the good things in life. Okay, following good things has the importance. So right first, that is, यहाँ पे हम ethics, moral values, okay, that is all good things to do. Okay, so we are not differentiating. So all of them, that point is common to all. They help in maintaining peace, harmony, and order of society. They help in maintaining peace, harmony, and order of society. Okay, order of society. They help in guiding individuals. They help in guiding individuals towards good things. Towards good things. Okay, next, they help in evaluating. They help in evaluating against good and bad of human actions and human decisions. good and bad of human actions oblique human decisions, human behavior. So those who are bad, obviously there will be a punitive action and order will be established. There will be a boycott or etc. Okay. They help in fulfilling. They help in fulfilling or meeting inherent highest potentials of life and contribute towards the happiness of individual and contributes towards the happiness of individual. Okay. In fact, this is significance has been said by Aristotle. There is a theory called eudaimonism. Okay. In bracket you can write eudaimonism. Bracket mein likho, this is not required to be remembered, but eudaimonism says that in fact Aristotle and these people have said, Greek philosophers, why we should be moral in life, because if we become a moral, it will contribute for our highest potential and this will bring the happiness. Eudaimonism is a happiness. And how we can be happy? There are different ways of being happy. Okay, materialistic sense of happiness, value-based sense of happiness. Somebody would have a Mercedes and say that he is happy, or an Apple and happy. Okay, and somebody would stop that Mercedes and help somebody and offer a pizza or samosa to someone and feel happy. Now the eudaimonism says that on the basis of moral, if you become happy, because morality and ethics, well, when we follow, we feel good about ourselves. And that brings a high level of satisfaction, because they say that there is an innate tendency in individual to drive towards good. And moral ethics and values help him realizing his potential and having an ultimate happiness in life. Okay, in fact, UPSC also asked one question, what do you understand by happiness? This was the first question in 2014 paper. Now people, yes, thought, what is the kind of question is this? Okay, what do you understand by happiness? And what is happiness means to you? This was the question for 15 marks. So people have written anything and everything, whatever they thought, okay, somebody finally has asked me what is happiness. So let me, okay, give vent to my feelings. Obviously, see, in such cases, you should never miss the point that you are writing for the civil services, and for the civil servant's point of view, what UPSC wants to actually see from that. Now, such kind of sentimental questions are generally being asked to trap the individual, because जो रट्टा मार के आ रहे हैं तो वो question अलग रहते हैं. What is accountability? You will put, okay, accountability is about answerability and civil servant is answerable. But in such questions, there is a possibility of trap. Now, when we define the happiness, okay, people are saying that my family, my religion, my village, I will make my parents proud, my brothers proud. Okay, उनको और लग रहा है कि मैं खुद से छोड़ के और family की तरफ जा रहा हूँ, family से छोड़ के friends की तरफ जा रहा हूँ. That's fine. We are not saying that you should not write, but this everything will come under the self. Okay, whether it is you, whether it is your family, whether it is your near and dear one, and your happiness get end with your near and dear one. It means that tomorrow if you will be an civil servant, who will think of others? Okay. In fact, some of the values of foundational values, they start with selflessness, dedication to public service, okay, impartiality, and here it will be a nepotism, here it will be a corruption. So if you are so much driven by, because your happiness, you do not find the happiness in making others happy. So in fact, one signal has gone that you are self-centric and you do not think about others, and that does not contribute for happiness. Second thing is, there can be a materialistic sense of happiness as well as the value-based happiness. Okay, or sort of with respect to equality, empathy, compassion, brotherhood, etc., etc. Materialistic sense of happiness is something what we discuss, utilitarian sense of happiness, or like having a possessing the things in life. Okay, so I would buy this, I would buy that, etc., etc. Okay, there is a dream that we have to buy one good house, and through the civil services I am practicing so that I become a good person, and then eventually I have a capacity to buy a beautiful house for my family. Now this becomes a materialistic in nature. So you have to say in some other way that planting a tree in my corridor and watering it every day will bring a sense of happiness. Now think of what the examiner will think, okay, that he has a high environmental values. Paying the tax to the government has also bring a sense of satisfaction and happiness for me. Okay, working in the interest. So ऐसे थोड़ा सा मतलब unless you make it, you have to fake it. Okay, because ultimately you have to fetch marks. Okay, so do not think that any question is just a throwaway question and it has no value. Okay, they ultimately see if you are being an as a leader, can you think of from a larger context or not. So the why we feel, in fact, the happiness as it is being said, like Buddha has talked about, like relinquishing the materialistic things in life will bring a sense of happiness, because it is being said, Buddhist philosophy, desire is a cause of sorrowness. So for him, happiness is about detaching from the materialistic world, or detaching from the desire is a sense of happiness, but from some group it may be. So you have to balance both the parts, self and others, and in all such question, somewhere your value system get reflected. So you have to, in fact, you would have said here, celebrating and participating in different festivals brings a sense of happiness, particularly when I visit the friend of the other religion, and that brings a sense of brotherhood for me. So they say that, okay, you have a very much secular, even if internally you may not be, but यहाँ पे you can write and throw that light. Secularism, tolerance, etc. will be a value for me. Okay, let's stop here. Okay, so these are the significance. Tomorrow we will continue with the dimensions and determinants of ethics. Thank you so much. Okay, there is an online query. Okay, I'll take two. Can you wait for a while? Okay. अरे 1 मिनट लगेगा. When we are saying, बंद कर दिया क्या आपने? When we are saying that Indian education should be based upon value system and not materialistic aid, then are these values are utilitarian or intrinsic in nature? Value-based system, it is intrinsic, because that's what the wrong with the Indian educational system. Mostly the educational system is interpreted from point of view of utilitarian end, and therefore there is no focus on character building and etc. Okay. So that's when we say about moral value system, so it is more of a intrinsic in nature. But again, as he has said, इसमें समझ में आ गया, उसमें भी आप value is becoming an end देख रहे हो, तो open for interpretation है. Forward to you by the request of online student. Are the moral values always good? See, the moral term is for the good, but when we apply the individual, okay, whatever individual is upholding, we have to cross-check it with respect to modern rational values. Are you understanding? Generally speaking, moral is whatever you think is right at individual end. Okay, that's a technically speaking morality. But whether it is a good or bad, it cannot be the just individual person. It has to be judged from the context of larger rational perspective. He may think and continue to hold that I am right, but may not be right for the others. Okay? Thank you so much. Can I? You can say, but that reflects that you are unable to think about others. Okay, so tomorrow, if you want to be a civil servant, you should enjoy your job, so that you are working for the others should be intrinsic value, not because, okay, I'll explain tomorrow. Have you understood this point? Okay.